Welcome to Lesson 3, Leveraging Technology and Automation. Up to this point, we've defined revenue operations as the science of sustainable growth, and we've established the importance of a comprehensive data model. We've also learned that RevOps drives continuous optimization. We've defined the what and the why. So now we're going to tackle the how. We're moving from strategy to execution. Now it's time to talk about implementing revenue operations with your tech stack and automation to actually create that efficiency. If RevOps is the strategic roadmap for your revenue engine, then your RevTech stack, your single source of truth system, is the engine itself. It is the tool that physically enforces the rules and processes you meticulously defined. The core problem we must address is what we call SaaS sprawl and data silos. Companies buy tools without a unified strategy, resulting in disconnected systems. You end up with your marketing automation in one corner, your CRM in another, your billing system somewhere else, and none of them talk seamlessly. This requires manual data transfer, double entry, and conflicting reports. Also, a lot of redundancies and room for error. And as we know, all of this absolutely kills efficiency and predictability. When systems are disconnected, your teams are spending precious time trying to figure out who has the right numbers instead of acting on the right insights. This is the manual waste that destroys higher profit margins. The solution is a strategic integrated tech stack that operates as a critical part of your revenue operations strategy. If you remember from our first class, we talked about the single source of truth being the central nervous system. The foundation has to be defined, implemented, and most importantly, used by every single team as a font of knowledge. In my experience as a RevOps strategist, I've most often seen these single source of truth systems to be the customer relationship manager, the CRM, like HubSpot or Salesforce. Or I've seen an ERP be used or a finance platform. No matter what, you have to have a single source of truth that everyone treats as the gospel for your data. For the sake of clarity, and because I'm rather partial to recommending the HubSpot CRM as the source of truth for RP partners, I'll use CRM as the single source of truth, typically when I'm talking about it throughout this lesson. So your single source of truth, your SSOT, if you will, or your CRM in this example, this is where the single most reliable version of your customer record lives. Every other tool in your stack, from marketing to sales to finance, all of it must seamlessly integrate into the CRM, reading and writing data consistently and accurately in order for you to get a comprehensive picture of what's happening. You can visualize the stack in 3 key layers built upon the CRM foundation. Let's start with the foundational layer. This is the core data repository. It holds your company, contact, and deal records, and it must be clean, defined, trusted, and constantly optimized. Then we have the automation layer. These are the tools that execute the processes you've defined. Think marketing automation or sales engagement, even customer success platforms. These all interact with customers and push clean data back into the CRM. Then there's also the strategy layer. Think about intelligence. These are tools that sit on top of the entire tech stack, analyzing the data and interactions for predictive insights and coaching. Think like call recording software with intelligent AI. Let's look at how the layers interact in a bit more depth. The foundational data. Let's start there. So this is going to be the demographic and behavioral information you collect. All the inputs for your revenue performance model are going to be part of this foundational data. This is the fuel for the rest of the engine. Then when you get to automations, this is where things get dynamic. This is the layer that includes tools for dynamic outreach or personalized sales engagements, automated lead routing, for example, or even customer health scoring. This is the technology that saves your team's time by removing manual waste and ensuring immediate, consistent follow-up. And again, this is where you would put in the layers so that nothing falls through the cracks, so that handoffs are seamless and smooth, so that everything is documented and everyone has clean insights. Then we have the intelligence layer or the strategy layer. Tools here listen to the customer, analyze the language, provide predictive insights. These are the kinds of tools that tell you which deals are at risk or which reps need to be coached on the best language to use. They transform new interaction data into actionable intelligence for sales and leadership. Your goal should be to ensure that every tool in the stack serves a purpose and is integrated, working to solve a business problem and not just creating a data silo or additional noise. Here's a critical caution for you. Automation is only as good as the processes it enforces. Automation can eliminate friction, or it can muddy the waters and cause redundancies in data. Automation can be your biggest accelerator, but if you automate a bad process, then you simply accelerate the waste. I've seen this before. Companies rush to automate lead routing without first defining their territories or qualification criteria, for example. What happens? Leads are routed randomly, follow-up is inconsistent, and it just confuses the sales team faster. This is why RevOps has to start with organization. You have to audit, define, and document the process before you hit the automation switch. Let's look at a couple of high-impact areas where automation eliminates friction when done correctly. First, let's talk about lead routing. We've talked a lot about the friction between marketing to sales handoff, and that's because that's one of the most common areas that I've seen. Automating lead routing and qualification can help smooth out that friction and ensure nothing falls through the cracks when it's done well. Here's when it works. First, when you have clearly defined lead assignments based on criteria like geography or company size, and when your qualification criteria is clear, comprehensive, and quantifiable. That's key. I mean quantifiable in that it's based on real data fields and not just gut feelings. The automation then takes over, and the moment the lead crosses the MQL threshold, what happens is that the CRM will automatically assign it to the correct rep and trigger an immediate follow-up task. RevOps programs the systems to enforce the handoff, meaning that if someone's not contacted or if follow-up doesn't happen, the system can automatically escalate it. This ensures that no opportunity falls through the cracks. This is what I mean by technology enforcing alignment and creating efficiency at the same time. Here's when it doesn't work, though. If your lead assignment is subjective, or if marketing and sales are using different subjective criteria to qualify, the automation will fail you. If you haven't organized your process first, the technology will just assign unqualified leads to the wrong reps, and that's going to fail you again. It's going to result in wasted time and frustration. You have to have, again, a clean, clear, defined process before the automation is going to work the way that you want it to. Another major source of friction, particularly as companies are growing or as their product catalogs are expanding, is the quote-to-cash process. I often see friction when the process isn't clearly defined or when growth has suddenly exponentially grown and reps are struggling to catch up. This is where CPQ, configure, price, and quoting tools come in and can help automate the process and increase that efficiency. Here's why CPQ tools are often helpful. The manual quoting process is slow and prone to errors, especially when you try to do it at scale. A rep could accidentally quote the wrong price or offer a discount that's against company policy if they're moving too quickly. CPQ tools can come in and automate the entire process. They can provide accuracy by pulling established prices directly from a product catalog. They can enforce consistent discounting and automatically route non-standard discounts for approval. They can ensure faster quote creation because reps simply answer questions and generate a quote instantly from a template. They can remove bottlenecks. And at the final stage of your sales cycle, that's critical. The speed at which you close deals directly accelerates revenue. Here's when it's helpful. Again, if you don't have the foundation set up, then you're not ready to automate the process. So here's what you need to have before you implement CPQ tools. It's most helpful when your product catalog is defined. It's really helpful if your pricing has become complex or you require additional complex approval process rules. If your offering is single, it's a static price, then a simple tool may suffice. But any complexity immediately makes a CPQ tool a high value RevOps implementation. But again, make sure that you have the foundation, the process clearly defined before you start trying to complicate matters by implementing an automation. Let's circle back to the data, the fuel for your revenue engine, for one final warning. Data hygiene is imperative for clarity in reporting. If your CRM is filled with duplicate records, incomplete phone numbers, and outdated titles, every report you run will be flawed. To enhance efficiency, you can use automation for two things: automating hygiene and data enrichment. There are automated hygiene tools out there that will constantly scan the database for obvious errors and duplicates. They'll run processes in the backgrounds that your teams don't have to and try to keep your data clean. But keep in mind, these do need to be reviewed to make sure that they are keeping the data clean in a way that's still helpful and maintaining the right information for you. Similar data enrichment tools have become really popular, and they're super great when they're used well. These tools can automatically pull in clean, clear data. They can fill in missing demographic and firmographic information. They can provide a lot of additional insights into your contact and company records. Again, clean data is the fuel for accurate forecasting, and automation can be the mechanic that keeps the fuel clean. But make sure you have the strategy and the foundation in place first. Remember, if you skip the strategy, the technology fails. If you skip the technology, the strategy is unenforceable and inefficient. Always remember that your foundation has to be built and maintained, with these aspects working together. That's where you'll find the true impact of revenue operations on growth.